This review of RWBY Volume 5, Episode 3 will spoil the entire episode for you if you haven't watched it already, so just a heads up. The synopsis for this episode is fairly short because essentially only three things happen. We see Blake's father address the people of Menagerie about the White Fang and what's going on there with Adam Tauros. Then we see Weiss have a little bit of an exchange with her kidnappers. We don't see Raven, but we see what appears to be Raven's lieutenant in the Bronwyn tribe. We saw her in the opening. Now we know that she's associated with Raven, so there'll be an interesting fight there. Looks like she's probably going to end up fighting Weiss. And then finally, the last thing that happens in this episode is Oscar and Ozpin address Team Ranger and are essentially figuring out what the hell they're going to do. Now, with Blake's father addressing the people of Menagerie, it looks like it's going well. Like, Ilya's threat that she had made in episode 1, like, it'll never work. Your plans to address the people will never work. It seemed like his speech was actually going pretty well and that the people were listening to them. And then Ilya's entire plan for saying, oh, this will never work, you should get out while you still can, her entire plan was to simply just stand up and say, why are we agreeing with them? Like, where were the humans when the Faunus were trapped? Like, Faunus were used as slaves in the mines. Where were the humans to help us when we were being oppressed? Where were the humans to help us when my parents were dying? And yes, that is a very powerful statement, and it will turn people to her side. But then again, what Blake's father is arguing is that Adam Tauros is going to start a war with the humans. We're not going to get equality. We are going to be at war. We are probably... a lot of us will die, is what's being implied. He doesn't explicitly say that, but, you know, a smart person would see that, okay, yes, you can see both points of both sides. It's easy to see where both are coming from, but the thing is, we can't just... From what we've seen in the series so far, the humans far outnumber the Faunus. Therefore, the Faunus don't stand a chance on their own against the humans. Yes, if they team up with Salem and use her power, of course, because she's got power in her own right, the maidens, her lieutenants, and then the relics, then yeah, of course they'll be able to beat the humans, but what kind of victory are they actually getting? Like, Adam Tauros seems way too trusting with Salem and everything, because he literally just joined up because Cinder essentially forced him to. So, in the end, I'm pretty sure Salem's gonna throw Adam Tauros just to the side at the end of it. I can't see her not doing that. But, anyways, we see the little exchange there. We don't actually see what happens afterwards because Ilya makes her little speech. Sun jumps her yelling, shut up, which, frankly, in a giant crowd like that, not the best way to handle things, because that just makes it seem like you're trying to silence anyone who objects to your opinions. But we'll see what happens in that later on. With Weiss, it's just a general little exchange with her, with the lieutenant of the Bronwyn tribe, or what I assume to be the lieutenant of the Bronwyn tribe. Essentially, all they're going to do is just try to ransom Weiss off to her father. Weiss makes a threat, well, my sister, Winter Schnee, is in Haven right now, and she's coming for you. But, you know, we do find out, from what the lieutenant says, that Atlas has enacted, Ironwood has enacted his plan to pull out all of the troops from everywhere back to Atlas and close the borders. That's happened now. So we may not be seeing too much more from Atlas this season unless the attack on Haven Academy happens this season. Then, the last little bit, you know, it's a common theory that's been out there before that Ozpin was the man with two souls. We find out that now, well, we knew this at the end of in Volume 4, we learned this, that, you know, Oscar and Ozpin, there's two souls in his body. So yes, he is the man with two souls. But through this little exchange between Oscar slash Ozpin and Team Ranger, which, by the way, we find out that Oscar can give control of his body over to Ozpin, which it kind of figured that that could happen. So Ozpin gains control and tells Team Ranger that yes, there's two souls fighting for control, but this has happened for thousands of years. And this is because apparently the gods have cursed him because he failed to defeat Salem in the past. So Salem's thousands of years old as well, which, you know, again, could kind of assume, but we now have confirmation on that. And what happens with Ozpin, every time he dies, his soul transfers to a like-minded person, and then their souls end up melding together. So Ozpin's not the man with two souls, he's a man whose soul is a combination of many souls. And through this, we do find that Cinder did actually kill Ozpin. Which I really find hard to believe, because when Cinder came up the tower after fighting Ozpin, she was relatively unscathed. Ozpin being the headmaster and having thousands of years of experience, fighting experience, and being able to make shields, I'm guessing that's part of his semblance in some way, because I don't think this reincarnation or transfer of souls is his actual semblance, because that wouldn't make too much sense. Whenever he dies, his soul transfers to a like-minded person. But that, like, a like-minded person, there's probably more than one like-minded person out there. Therefore, each person would have their own semblance. Ozpin would have his own semblance, and if when he transfers over, their semblance is probably combined or something. Because if the like-minded people didn't have a semblance before Ozpin merged with them, that wouldn't make sense, because if he didn't end up merging with them, then, you know, etc., etc. But at the end of it, Ozpin basically says, okay, I'm going to need to train all four of you because you're all lacking in some way, and then also train up Oscar's body as well so that he can be in fighting shape. So at some point, Oscar and Ozpin's souls are probably going to meld into one. I don't think that'll be this season, but it'll be some season in the future. Crow's going to be gathering more huntsmen, which might give us some more actual main characters, or characters that are going to be more constant throughout the series that we haven't met before, that we'll get to see, and, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing that. But we also find out that there was a bit of a disconnect in time between Blake and Menagerie and Team Ranger in Haven right now, because during the speech, Blake's father said that Adam Toros plans to attack Haven at the last full moon before the fall semester, which is roughly 2 months from now. They explicitly said that. And then when Ozpin was talking to Team Ranger, he said the fall semester begins in about 1 month. So these timelines are a little bit skewed right now. We're seeing what has happened in Menagerie already now that Team Ranger is in Haven. So Menagerie is a month behind where Team Ranger is right now. So, for all we know, well, they're probably all going to meet up this season, which is going to be interesting to see. And also it looks like the Bronwyn tribe isn't really the best at keeping prisoners, which is surprising, because, you know, you'd think Raven would be a little bit smarter than that, or I guess maybe they didn't know about Weiss's summoning, but if Winter had summoning, then you'd think they'd put 2 and 2 together, since their glyphs is hereditary, that it's passed through the family. They didn't take into account that Weiss has summoning. She can summon a miniature version of her knight, which again shows immense control in her summoning, so she has essentially mastered it, I think. Because if she can control, like, a little palm-sized knight and then have it cut her ropes, like, that to me says that you're pretty skilled with it already. But anyways, this was mostly an information-building episode, so we just find out more information about Ozpin and what has happened with him, and a little bit of history with him, a little exchange with Weiss, and the speech that Blake's father gave. And I don't know how that speech is going to play out, because I feel like it's going to split them in half. It's just Ilya's words just seem to be falling short. Your plan is never going to work. Get out while you still can. I don't understand how one person standing up and screaming in a crowd is going to turn all of Menagerie against them. But I guess we'll see what ends up happening. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this review. If you did, make sure to subscribe. I'll make sure to have all these reviews out by Monday, 7 p.m. And yeah, see you in the next video.